Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. A very warm welcome because I'm very excited to be bringing you the first episode of our new show, the Movies and TV Weekly. We're having a schedule change here on Movies TV Mad, and this is how it's going to be. From Monday to Friday, we will stick with the DC Universe Daily, which I'm very happy to be bringing to you during the week. On a Saturday, as you can see, it's the Movies and TV Weekly. And on a Sunday, I'm very excited about this one as well, the Doctor Who Weekly. Movies TV Mad will begin to bring you varied topics in entertainment, and that's the direction we're going to go in. But sticking with the stuff we've always done in terms of the DC Universe Daily, but we want to talk about other movies and TV and what's going on in the entertainment industry, and that's what the Movies and TV Weekly is. Looking at the headlines in the past week in movies and television. Today, we are going to be focusing on movies, because what a week. Because Gina Carano and Elon Musk and X are suing Disney. Wow, and while this was going on, I was praising Zaslav and Warner Brothers for finally kind of building up a studio and making the right decisions and bringing in good talent, like the decision to buy Christopher Reeve's documentary. It's, WB is the place it should be at, and that's right, and that's great. They are developing a DC universe. That's a good idea. They seem to be getting their shit together. But then yesterday, they went back to, tarnishing their reputation. Because do you remember that Looney Tunes movie that Zaslav wanted to shelve for a tax write-off? And when there was a big stink, he said, or they said, they were going to try and sell it to a streamer. Now they've decided the streamers haven't bid enough money, so they're going to shelve, or kind of more accurately, delete the movie and get a tax write-off. And fans are not happy. Imagine if you worked on this fucking movie. Probably took you a couple of years, to do that kind of film. Now, there's another takeaway from that. That is that it's a James Gunn produced movie. Now, don't forget, James Gunn is now the co-CEO of DC Studios. He's got an exclusive contract with WB. How does he, as the producer of this movie, feel? And, is the honeymoon over between Gunn and Zaslav? It's a very, very interesting topic to discuss. Look, Gunn is the co-CEO of DC Studios. He ain't gonna fucking rock the boat. He'd be fucking stupid to rock the boat. Next month he's gonna start shooting Superman Legacy. He ain't rocking no boat, is it? Let's be honest about it. I'm sure he's really pissed off about this. If he's a real movie person and he kind of puts himself across as a real movie person, this has become the new norm, getting tax write-offs. You've got to understand that the industry in a whole is in financial meltdown because of their own, incapability of employing good people to make great entertainment. Their creative bankruptcy, etc., etc. So they've sunk their own industry into the ground and the audience has shrunk. We learnt this week from Bob Iger that the Disney Plus subscriber count has shrunk again. Not as much as last time, but that's hardly a big win, is it now, Bobby? And, Disney are getting it from all angles as well. You've got Nelson Peltz coming after Disney and Iger as well. It's a big mess. So it was looking like WB were getting their shit together. And I think they are, compared to Disney, they are at least getting their shit together. But this is a really serious issue in terms of tax write-offs because it's balancing the books versus artistic integrity. What matters? Well, you have to balance the books. That's the reality of the situation here. I'm angry about this too. I don't agree with the fact that they shelved Batgirl and now they shelved this movie. But I told you when they shelved Batgirl for a tax write-off, they will be doing this at least once or twice a year. They have to balance the books because they're in such shit. That's the reality of the situation. So Even though I agree with everyone, there was a pundit, an entertainment pundit, losing their shit, having a go at fans and everyone else criticising this move of tax write-offs. David Zaslav's a great businessman. He knows what he's doing. That movie's never going to make a lot of money. And that's another question here. I mean, why was this movie ever greenlit? You must listen, they have analysts. They know what works and what doesn't. Now, when I grew up in entertainment, there was the projects, that they greenlit for artistic integrity. I've spoken about this many times. And then there's the movies they greenlit to make a profit. Now, clearly, when you it's interesting. Is this a passion project? I would assume that James Gunn is a huge kind of Looney Tunes fan. As I was growing up, I still fucking watch Looney Tunes sometimes in the morning. 51 years old. Grow up, Mick. Why should I? Make me. But yeah, so I think this was kind of a passion project, but also this kind of thing is made to make money. But you see, Looney Tunes isn't something that, modern young audiences relate to. They did when I was growing up, but that's old, so that's old hat. So they would have known that there wasn't much profitability in the first place in making this movie. But they're Warner Brothers. They own Looney Tunes. They're going to keep on trying to make new versions of it and hope it sticks with some kind of audience, probably people around my age group. So would this movie have made money? I have no fucking idea if this movie would have made money. I think this movie wouldn't have made much. Look, I'm going to be honest about the situation. Morally, shelving films and deleting films for tax write-offs isn't a good thing. But in the current financial state the industry finds itself in, it's a fucking necessity. That's the reality of the situation. Now, obviously, the Batgirl shelving is even worse than this. People worked hard on it. The directors didn't know until they saw it in the press that the movie was being shelved. It was disgusting. There's no defense of that decision. So what Zaslav does is he looks for a movie that he knows isn't going to do very well. He then, sees if he can get a tax write-off, how much money they will get back. And I don't really understand how tax write-offs work and what's the maximum you can get back from them. It's a very interesting thing that really we should know more about. And I like to know I like to know details of things I'm talking about. But unfortunately, in terms of this Looney Tunes movie, I think it's called Roadrunner versus Acme, Acme versus Roadrunner, whatever it is, right? It's a Looney Tunes movie. I would have loved to have seen it. Look, I probably wouldn't have gone to the cinema to see it. And there's the thing as well. Was it going to be a streaming movie? Was it going to be released in cinemas? I'm not quite sure. I heard about this movie a long time ago. I think it may have been greenlit in the days prior to Zaslav. I'm not sure about that either. But I understand why people are really, really angry. I understand why the people who made it would be very, very angry. It's interesting, so many fans ask James Gunn questions on threads every day. This is the type of question I'd like him to answer, but I don't expect him to. Because people like James Gunn, industry people, know what to answer and what not to answer. And he isn't going to go at Zaslav publicly. He isn't going to do that. We don't know what happened here. Well, we do know what happened here, basically. They're in a financial meltdown like everybody else in the entertainment industry, and they need to balance the fucking books. But we don't know how James Gunn feels about this. Now, when there was, as I said earlier, when there was outrage over this, they publicly stated that they were going to try and sell it to a streamer. I believe that wasn't true. I believe that was just a lie to calm the situation down. Now, the question is here, did James Gunn really believe that they were going to try and sell it to a streamer? Or did he know the truth of the situation? I really don't know how much in the know James Gunn is about this whole tax write-off situation. Considering, those two directors of Batgirl didn't know until they read it online that their movie was going to be shelved, who knows? But, James Gunn is a CEO of one of Warner Brothers companies, right? A co-CEO. Surely he's in the mix. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if he isn't. But who the fuck knows what's going on? Could this break the relationship, between James Gunn and David Zaslav? Publicly, David Zaslav says he believes in James Gunn a hell of a lot to deliver something brilliant and special for DC. But how much can you believe in someone when you're shelving a movie they're producing? Was it that bad? Maybe James Gunn believes it was bad as well, and shelving it is the right decision. And clearly, if they were actually trying to sell it to a streamer, the streamers weren't offering them as much money as, getting a tax write-off from it would. So, it's about money at the end of the day. They need money. They are in financial meltdown. We found out this week that, the share price is sunk down as well. That's something else I really don't understand. And I'm not going to pretend I'm a business guy. I'm a movie guy. I'm an entertainment guy. I'm a TV guy. I'm a DC guy, right? I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. So these days you need to know about so many things in terms of consuming entertainment, and it's fucking crazy, isn't it? Back in the day, you just used to watch stuff, shrug your shoulders if you liked it or not. That's it. But things have become very, very complicated. But if he's willing to write off Batgirl and this Looney Tunes movie, so let me paint you a scenario, an unlikely scenario at that. Imagine James Gunn, finishes principal photography on Superman Legacy, it's edited, VFX, it's all put together. Zaslav sees it and says, this isn't good enough. I'm going to get a tax write-off. Imagine that. Now, as I say, that is unlikely, and I'm not trying to scaremonger. What I'm saying is, if he's willing to do this, then he's willing to do this. How far will it go? Well, it all depends how successful or unsuccessful he's being in balancing the books. There's no, look, I explained to you a long time ago what Zaslav is. He isn't the future of Warner Brothers. He's not. AT&T brought him in. Let me explain it to you all again. I assume you're interested to know how these studios work. Well, I'll tell you how it works. AT&T, a cable and wireless company, bought Warner Brothers, right? From Time Warner. They ran it into the ground because they didn't know shit about running a conglomerate entertainment company. They ran it into the fucking ground. They launched HBO Max and they didn't even have their own version of The Mandalorian. They didn't have anything to launch it with, so they gave Snyder $70 million in desperation for Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut that kind of done the trick, but they had no longevity for their streaming service in terms of that. So these people were fucking clueless. So they ran the thing into the ground. So what they did, they found David Zaslav at Discovery and they merged with him. And the agreement would be that he would be, he's a fixer basically. He's a businessman. He knows how to save companies that are in trouble. So they made him CEO of the newly formed Warner Brothers Discovery. AT&T are still the majority shareholders of Warner Brothers. Don't forget that. The idea is for him to fix things, balance the books, then sell the company either as a whole or piece by piece. That is the situation here. And that's how Warner Brothers works. But as I keep on saying to you, whether they merge with Paramount or another company or somebody buys them, swallows them, and you never see the name Warner Brothers again. It's like the 20th Century Fox kind of trademark now with Disney. 20th Century Fox, they're not the old company. When you see a 20th Century Fox film, it's just a Disney movie with that, because they legally have to have that logo on it. There's no 20th Century Fox anymore. That's the facts of the situation. And this is the future that Warner Brothers is heading to. The only thing is, will it be another merger or will it be a sale? We don't know. But sooner rather than later, Warner Brothers will make some kind of announcement. We know that. And then you look at the situation if Warner Brothers is bought by a bigger studio. What happens to James Gunn? What happens to Peter Safran? What happens to DC Studios? If Zaslav, because Zaslav probably won't be involved once it's merged and sold. And if Zaslav's gone, the one who believes in James Gunn, who wanted him there, what happens to this Superman movie? Surely they still have to let that happen. It's going into fucking production next month. But anything's possible in this crazy industry these days. Things can happen or not happen. So, there's that as well. So, yeah, this Looney Tunes movie, is got a tax write-off. Everyone's angry about it. Entertainment insiders, people who work in the industry, and the fans and the consumers are, angry as well. But it's the norm. It's a horrible situation, but they ran their industry into the ground. What I'm trying to say to you is Zaslav has to do this to keep the company fucking going. That's the reality of the situation. So he looks at a movie that doesn't have much profitability or any profitability at all, and he gives it a tax write-off, and he's going to continue to do that despite the moral, the immorality of it all. The truth is, most of the people who are angry about this would never have gone to see this movie. I understand why people are angry. They're right to be angry, but Zaslav's right. This movie was never going to make much money, and it was probably the right choice for a tax write-off. It shouldn't exist. There shouldn't be tax write-offs in terms of people's artistic integrity, but this is where we are. And this is why the Snyder fans are doing, sell Snyderverse to Netflix, because they see a chink of light. These people are fucking desperate for money, and they will do anything. I think they will start leasing, the DC logo out to different companies to do different things. I think that will be a thing, and that will kind of call into doubt the whole DC Studios and everything being under the same umbrella as well. Basically, DC Studios, James Gunn, is DC Universe. It's the franchise he's working on. So they could kind of sell it as outside of Gunn's parameter and allow different people and different companies to make different DC TV shows. Which is something I know that Gunn doesn't necessarily want. We've discussed about the Batman and the Joker situation. In an ideal world, that wouldn't be a reality for Gunn. Everything will be under the same umbrella. So because these are debt-ridden companies, this is where the problem is. I'd love to know what you think about this Looney Tunes movie being a tax write-off. Give me your opinions. But what I'm telling you as someone who understands the industry, the mess these studios are in, they have to do this. There is no choice in the matter. Entertainment is in a lot of trouble, and there's no denying that. Now, our second story of what was going on in this week's entertainment industry, wow, is a doozy. Gina Carano, Elon Musk, and X are suing Disney for Gina Carano's wrongful dismissal. The question is, do they have a case? I really don't know. Did she have a contract, right? Did they actually fire her? Or did they decide not to give her a new contract? If she was out of contract and they just merely decided not to give her a new one, that means she really doesn't have a leg to stand on. But the thing is, you would imagine like a billionaire like Elon Musk and his company X wouldn't just be taking on a case without a chance. Surely they believe that there's a chance. If she was in contract and they fired her for merely making a social media post that they didn't like, then they really don't have a leg to stand on. I've heard from people that they're a private company, they can do what they want. You can't. In the real world, you can't just fire people for any reason you see fit. They must be causing a problem at their job, on set, on location. They have to be sexually harassing, one of the people there or something like that. There has to be a real reason to remove Gina. We know she had a healthy relationship with everyone she worked with on the show, according to her, right? And I believe her. She had a great relationship with the late, great Carl Weathers, R.I.P. to that great man. Favreau, Filoni, they all loved her. But Kennedy certainly wasn't feeling the love for Gina. The problem is, everything's become ultra-political. That's why Elon Musk is suing Disney along with Gina Carano. Why was Gina Carano fired in the first place? Because she was making political statements that they didn't like. It's clear that Gina, and if I've made the wrong assumption here, I apologise, Gina, you are with the right wing. There's nothing wrong with that, right? When I was growing up, you could be left, right, You could be, you could be from the Green Party. It didn't really fucking matter. You stated your opinions. But you know what? When I was growing up, people kept their political opinions and their religious beliefs to themselves. My father used to say to me, when the people come round for our dinner party, please don't mention religion or politics because it causes upset. And it does, because everyone's got a different opinion, and when you give your opposing opinion, it can hurt the other people. So you stay off these subjects. But not anymore. With social media, everyone's blatant about what they think about politics. And then you insert the culture war, and then you've got the whole gaslighting over the trans community and everything else. The culture war is rife. And we've seen that now with Tucker Carlson going over to Russia to interview Vladimir Putin as well. So you've got this big divide between the left and the right. And this is what happened with Gina Carano. She was basically fired for being right-wing and being blatant about her opinions. Now, she did this whole monologue of explanations that she did nothing wrong, she's not an is, she's not an ism, and she's not a racist. She seems like a really stand-up gal that you could, go down the pub, have about 20 pints with, and have a good time and have an arm wrestle, which probably 9 times out of 10, she would win. From the outside looking in, I really like Gina Carano. And from the outside looking in, apart from giving political opinions that I don't agree with, and that's okay. We don't have to agree politically for me to like you. I'm a very balanced dude, as the people that know me know. So that's not the issue. You can't fire someone for being right-wing. You shouldn't be able to fire someone for supporting Palestine or giving different views in the war in Ukraine or, Israel's incursion of Palestine. You should be able to be free to give your thoughts. As long as they're not bigoted thoughts, as long as you're not being, racist or bigoted to the Israeli people, as long as you're not being bigoted about the Ukrainian situation. There's ways of talking about things that don't have to be offensive, but you can't be firing people for giving constructive opinions about controversial topics. And that's all Gina Carano did. So in that element, basically, if they fired her for any social media posts, and she was making a lot. Now, if we want to ask the question, was this woman wise the way she was going about things? No. She kept on pushing her luck, right? And I was thinking to myself, they're going to fire her, she's pushing her luck. Somewhat it was like, for me, it was like Gina was trying to see how far she could push her luck. And I think that's what happened. In the end, she pushed her luck too far. So she wasn't really doing things in a sophisticated manner, but you do have the right to constructively talk about what you think online. I certainly think, morally, I don't know about legally, but I don't think they have a legal leg to stand on. So do they have a case? Well, legally I don't know, because I don't know the laws. But from the outside looking in, you can't be firing people for their opinions online. And I think this is the problem they have. And it's happening all the time. It's happening more and more and more. When you fire a Latinx artist from the Scream franchise because of her views on Palestine, there's a big problem. This is the industry who say, we support Wham-Man. We support Wham-Man, strong, independent Wham-Man. You had a strong, independent Wham-Man, really good young actor on the Scream franchise, and you fired her for being a strong, independent Wham-Man. Do you understand the hypocrisy? Because they are fucking hypocrites. And there lies the problem. But there's a deeper issue here in terms of Gina, Elon, and X suing Disney. There's a political situation here. That's why they're doing it. There's going to be a presidential election very soon. There's deeper meanings here. So even though I support what they're doing, because she was really wrongfully dismissed, you can't be firing people for their fucking views at the end of the day. But it's all political. Make no mistake, the world has become ultra political, both on the left, because it's become far left, and the right. And it's very ugly out there. And this is infested. Don't forget, we are talking entertainment here. We're talking movies. You know, part name of this show that I've launched today. And the ugliest thing and the saddest thing today is that politics has been infested and the culture war has been infested within entertainment. Don't get me wrong. The entertainment industry was always political. There was always propaganda in our entertainment. The difference was it was done very carefully, and they still were trying to make entertainment and entertain us at the same time. That's all gone out the window. They purposefully employ far left activists, and they're so blatant with their hatred for certain types of people, right? So it's not entertaining anymore. Entertainment isn't fun anymore. So what does that mean? That the equation ends with people being driven away inside and outside of the industry in terms of the consumer, and that's why they're not making money. So this is where we are. So it's a very, very ugly situation. Look, I was shocked to my core when I heard that Gina and Elon and X were suing Disney, but I had a good laugh. I think it's funny. I think it's fucking hilarious. I don't know how it ends. I don't know if it all just disappears, if they settle out of court, or it goes all the way. I don't think Disney will want this to go all the way. But as I say, entertainment has become very, very ugly. There'll be some of you watching this video not understanding any of it because you're probably aloof from it as well. But I'm on the internet, I see what's going on, and there's a culture war, and it's infested itself onto entertainment, and it's not a good thing. Entertainment has to fix itself. English-speaking entertainment has to fix itself. It has to become an entertainment body again. Because what it is just about activism now. That's what it's about now. Activism and very loud propaganda. I just a minute ago said, you know, the industry was always political and pushed different topics of propaganda. But they still made great art. That's the problem. This is the English-speaking industry is not making money anymore. You know, Godzilla -1 was a big moment last year. It showed you that foreign entertainment is becoming mainstream and English-speaking entertainment is dying. And it's very interesting listening to the people who made Godzilla -1. You know, he was speaking about the mentality towards Godzilla with English-speaking Hollywood movies compared to what they were doing. He said, this guy, I think the director said, that he looks at Godzilla as a god, not a religious god, but the old-fashioned type of gods, where Hollywood see Godzilla as a scary, raw monster. And that tells you everything you need to know. Hollywood has never really been sophisticated in terms of making films. Not really. And it's always been the more, you know, the non-English speaking filmmakers that have been more sophisticated. And Godzilla -1 really did expose English-speaking entertainment, because there's not a lot of clever, sophisticated people making entertainment these days. I think Christopher Nolan is a very sophisticated guy. I really do. I think Denis Villeneuve is a very sophisticated guy. You can tell from their movies. There's still sophisticated people making films, but they're few and far between. And the thing is with the activists in Hollywood today, they are certainly not sophisticated people. They are not intelligent people. You look at Miss Dakota, you know, Miss Dakota Johnson, who's a Nepo baby, basically, you know, I think she's Don Johnson's daughter, right? And she's, you know, it's boring, I don't want to talk about it. But you're famous because you're fucking dad, right? Stop crying about it, get on with it, take the opportunity. Look at Kiefer Sutherland. You know, the son of Donald Sutherland, the ultimate Nepo baby. He never complains about it. He never denies it. He's gone out there and he's earned his own spurs. Flatliners, the Lost Boys, fucking 24. The guy earned the right to say, yeah, I'm a Nepo baby, but look what I achieved on my own without my father. So there's a lot of Nepo babies out there I actually fucking respect. But Dakota Johnson, crying, living in fucking denial, I don't respect you. Your movie, Madam Web's coming out, right? Very soon. It's very difficult for it to make money, and your outspoken nature, the bullshit you're saying is making you unlikable, which gives, your movie a lesser chance of success. And this is where we are today. So I hope you enjoyed the first edition of the Movies and TV Weekly. We will be back next Saturday with more. Please join me tomorrow for the Doctor Who Weekly. Until then, keep watching some telly.